In the eternal struggle of light and dark, there is only one certainty: death. Dion and Rymos had been on Earth for a grand total of 3 months now. Life so far had been riddled with confusion, adjustment, and relative calm. They raided against the Glordadians together and occasionally with their new comrades of Camp Hagen. But Rymos knew, and Dion too knew on some level, that these state of affairs were not to last. Camp Hagen was effectively surrounded and cut off from any meaningful assistance. Jake and other senior leadership spent many long hours stressing about this situation. Dion still confirmed it, as he would catch the details of the subject still fresh on Jake's mind from these meetings. Rymos urged Dion that he should not develop emotional attachments with these people, particularly Sonia. They were two aliens themselves. All they had in this world was each other. Rymos and Dion in these brief months of their lives were a curious study, considering what we know of them now.
But weren't Rymos and Dion powerful enough to just destroy the encirclement themselves?
In those days, Rymos and Dion were not the warriors we know them as. They could wield very little of their magic. Remember the part where Dion killed the Glordadian in the dark? That was an accident, and he could have killed his brother by it.
So they were basically no better off than us in our situation right now.
Yeah, that's about right. But you'll see how their conflicting views leads to their ultimate fate the more I tell.
Rymos and Dion had been preparing what few possessions they had for immediate departure, but they were not going anywhere just yet. For now they were both on the same page, but Dion hoped to convince his brother to take a more active role to defend the camp, rather than flee before the worst comes. They went to the dining area to eat leftover food after finishing their short prep and planning.
Daddy,
Yes, baby?
are Uncle Rymos and Uncle Dion leaving us?
How does she know? No, of course not. What made you think that?
Because I overheard them saying they would leave tonight as soon as we're asleep. Why do you want to leave us? Did Daddy say something to make you angry? Was it Mom? Was it me?
Maybe we shouldn't save this girl. No, Princess, they aren't leaving. They were only trying to prank you, that's all. Princess, what did Daddy tell you about listening in on other people's conversation? You shouldn't eavesdrop, you know? Promise me you won't do it again. You promise?
Yes, Daddy.
That's my girl. Now go meet your mother outside while Daddy finishes his conversation with your uncles. What the hell? You want to leave? And just when were you planning on telling me this, huh?
Now you listen here. We do not answer to you. You may think you've been a blessing to us, but the truth is, we would be just fine on our own. We're Maslonians, sons of the fire god. We will not go down out of pity or benevolence to an inferior race.
Yes, we are lowly humans, right? Only except we actually know about infectious disease, which I saved your brother from when we first met. Or that our civilization wasn't some backwards, superstitious pisshole that probably sacrifices animals.
Our people may be less knowing than yours, but one thing is for certain, this state of affairs you have with the Glordadians would not have lasted a whole decade on our world. Either we would be dead, or the Glordadians would be dead. We can argue which one you think it'd be, but only those two options, I promise you.
What, so are you trying to say?
I am not trying. I am telling you that the weak deserve death and... Look, Jake, we understand your frustration with us. We're sorry, we wish we could do more, but we can only do so much. We must look out for ourselves first. Just as you protect your family, I'm protecting mine.
You'd have no place to go. The Glordadians have overrun the entire planet. Humans have been forced to go into hiding since they invaded our world over a decade ago. Where will you go, huh? To the Glordadians? To the enemy?
Feeling that his words are lost on Rymos, Jake turns toward Dion.
Dion, please listen to the voice of reason.
We hear you, Jake. We will stay for the moment, but...
Yay, you're gonna stay.
Rymos and Dion had yet again gone out on patrol to check Glordadian positions. They observed the well-encircled 30-mile radius around the camp had loosened somewhat as some camps changed position, but little change in the overall situation. It wasn't until, however, that they came to view a large open field that lay beyond a small mountain range. Across the vast miles of open ground, they saw a massive Glaudadian force. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Glaudadian soldiers moving across the plain, swarms of ships and fighter craft soaring above them. Large war machines of unimaginable destructive power lumbered along, kicking up dust which trailed for miles. The brothers had not recognized the full scope of Glaudadian power until this very day. Looking upon these enormous forces, they immediately knew this war was most likely unwinnable for humanity. Even if they had comparable numbers, which they surely didn't. Neither of them spoke while looking upon this spectacular show of force.
Brother, this is not war. This is a genocide.
All the more reason we shouldn't be trying to save them. The weak will always die. We're not trying to die with them.
But brother, look at their tech and weapons. I don't think this war had anything to do with strength. I think your way of thinking about this war is flawed.
Dion, there is more to strength than just physical strength. It's willpower, it's determination and strength of mind too. It is the indomitable spirit that will always find a way to even the battle against a foe who is far superior. The humans could either have demonstrated this strength or died trying. They have done neither.
The Glaudadian Wars was, for what it was, the near extinction of Earth. At the time that Ramos and Dion arrived, the conflict had cooled down a bit as both sides settled in. Humans got accustomed to running, fighting, foraging, and eventually settling down into more permanent locations, like Camp Hagen. Large resistance groups that could take the fight to the Glaudadians had formed. For a brief time, you could argue that one could have eked out a decent existence during this time. But of course, this didn't last long, and wouldn't come again until the war's conclusion.
But I thought you said the Glaudadians could easily wipe them out.
The Glaudadians had problems of their own, back in their home system during the war. But even with this, make no mistake that humanity was still indeed losing, and losing big, at least until...
Mission failed.